Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special presentation tonight which we believe is very, very important, and more so lately. Being involved in town, there's a lot of questions that a lot of people ask us, and more lately, people ask us about the Morristown Airport. I can't tell you how many times I'm on a property and people say how wonderful it is, how much they love it, how much they love the planes. Then 2 houses down, they'll tell me, these planes almost hit my trees. What is going on with that flight pattern? What's going on down at... So we always call Ron. Ron's a pilot. Ron has been the liaison to the Morristown Airport for a very long time. Ron probably knows more about the Morristown Airport than anybody I've ever met in my life. So we asked Ron over the summer to start to think about making a presentation to the public regarding everything that's going on in the airport in as short amount of time as possible. And we look at about 15 minutes. Ron, if you go longer, you go longer. The benefit of this, too, is we record it, so it's going to be available for everybody to watch in their homes, and we will make a specific clip called the Hanover Township Airport, Ronald Francioli. Because this is important, it's going to get a lot of views. And if you go to that in a month or two, and you look at the amount of views, it's going to be quite a few. People are very interested in the airport, and they love the airport. But there's a lot we have to learn and understand. So Ron, if you could take the floor.
Well, thank you. I'm going to ask our guest who's with us today from Morristown Airport to join us. Chris, why don't you come up and take a seat here by this microphone, and as we go through this and as I explain much about the airport and its relationship to municipal, you'll keep me honest, okay? Morristown Airport, you're going to see on these slides as we go through. You have the Shelby. Who's got the?
I do. I'm sorry.
You got it. All right. We're gonna go through that. Oh, that's all right. We're gonna read from this. All right. Morristown Airport is a national reliever airport, and Morristown Airport is probably one of the largest property owners here in Hanover Township. The airport has over 625 acres within Hanover Township, but it's unique. It's unique in that the airport is owned by Morristown, but it has its base in the meets and bounds of Hanover Township, but then it's run by DM airport developers who manage the airport and have done, by the way, a successful job over the years. Morristown Airport began in 1943 to train Army Air Flyers, and opened to the public in 1945, from what we understand. The airport is a business airport, unlike Newark Airport or Kennedy or LaGuardia, etc., which is a passenger type of airport. This is a business airport, and like Teterboro is a business airport, but it's the second largest airport next to Teterboro in flight operations and flight service, all right? If we can say that. Morristown Airport has within its meets and bounds an international U.S. Customs and Border Patrol facility, so aircraft landing in Hanover and landing at the airport must clear that customs when they come in. They have to make reservations and appointments, I think, when we do come in on that. It is supported by what's known as FBOs, flight-based operations. Flight-based operations on the field provide fuel, provide maintenance, and provide other amenities, foods, etc., to support all the airport operations. Signature Flight Support is one of the largest down there right now, along with Atlantic Aviation, and they are the FBOs for that airport area. Right now, Morristown Airport ranks in the top 200 of 3,310 identified airports, which is impressive in itself. Okay, statistically, let's see if we can read here. All right, the statistics that we have here now, total flight operations from January to June of this year have been 57,583. What does that mean? That means every time an aircraft touches its wheels down, that is known as a complete flight operation, and that's what we're recording there. In that regard, Average annual flight operations in 2023 were 95,637 flight operations. Now, everybody's going to raise their eyebrows and say, wow, what the hell is happening? That's a heck of a lot of activity. But I'm going to tell you about how the airport manages that, and how it manages noise abatement, and how it controls aircraft flights in the area. We have 181 aircraft based at Hanover, at Morristown Airport. That's general aviation aircraft. Is that inclusive of general aviation, or is that just your corporate? So we have general aviation and corporate, so the 181 is the total amount of aircraft there. What is the economic benefit of Morristown Airport to Hanover and the county? And when we look at it, it's estimated that $187 million of total output spending into the community and into the county, which is an impressive amount of money, certainly from that standpoint. It employs 60 jobs, 60-plus jobs, from air traffic controllers to ground management, administration, etc. It serves Morris County's commerce as well as the state. Municipal taxes paid to us here in Hanover Township in 2023 amounts to $376,827 and no cents. Right. So that number represents all of the hangar properties that are within the airport that individually pay their taxes, as well as administration pays its taxes. So that's the Honeywells and everyone else that we have as a corporate airport. And by the way, we should know that many of the large corporates do have their headquarters or their aircraft at Morristown Airport, which is a great amenity for Morris County, and certainly we're proud of it here in Hanover Township. They have flight training, we know that. Flight training schools, there are several of them there, and as well as corporate tenants and general aviation pilots and operations. Let's go to general aviation activities for the next slide. We're past economic, let's go past that. There you go. All right, under general aviation activities, what does Morristown Municipal Airport provide? Medical, healthcare, logistics, daily flights in and out of the airport, humanitarian flights in and out of the airport, shelter animal relocations in and out of the airport, military and state police support, natural disaster release flights, and educational initiatives. Okay. They've been doing a lot of improvements out at the airport. By the way, since I began flying with Morristown Airport, I don't want to tell you how long ago that was, but both Ken Schleifer, who was a member of our township committee, and myself flew actively out of the airport, continued to fly actively out of the airport. Ken handled an instrument license. I have an instrument license, and I'm rated for twin and multiple gear. Not anymore. The airport improvements, as we looked at them, let's see, general aviation and medical, let's change that slide. Okay, let's go to the next. No? Here we go. The improvements. There's been a lot going on, and you probably are aware of it because of the phone calls we get about flights over your houses and what's going on down at the airport. The largest runways down at that airport are runways 5 and 2-3. They have been part of a rehabilitation project. And part of that project is new drainage, lighting improvements, safety area, and guidance systems. Are you going to microsystems yet, or are we still on conventional ILS approach?
Yes, correct, yeah. And it's all just conventional ILS,
okay.
yeah. And it's all just upgrades to the current.
Are you moving toward that end?
Not that I'm aware of right now, not as part of this phase of construction. Okay. And this is all just, like you mentioned, rehabilitation project.
The guidance systems coming into the airport for pilots is, in my opinion, it's absolutely top-notch. It's absolutely phenomenal the way it is. The drainage culvert that was done most recently over there was a replacement of a drainage culvert that goes back to the 30s.
Yeah, as far as we could tell, the original drainage culvert that
Yeah.
was put in, yeah, so that
And
was...
when that happened, when these runways are affected by that, they're closed. And if they're closed, the benefit of Morristown Airport is they have runways for 4 directional approaches to the airport. And so that airport management can change the direction of flight for the safety of pilots, safety of the community, to get the work done. 900 feet of 72-inch box concrete culvert were installed in 5 of 2, 3, of May, this past May?
Last year was
Last year,
in
May.
the July timeframe.
Last
July,
year,
August
May.
timeframe.
Medium-intensity runway approach light systems and runway and identifier lights have all been part of that improvement. Let's talk about, let's give these guys a little bit of flight training 101, okay? Let's go to the next slide. All right? How's that look to you guys? All right, that's like tic-tac-toe, right?
Yeah, sure is.
All right. Let's look at Morristown Airport for a second. They have approaches for 523, which is a 6,000-foot runway. They have approaches for 1331, which is a 4,000-foot runway. And how does that all work? And many people think the aircraft come in and finally they look at an airport and they just land an airplane. Gee, isn't that simple? Well, there's a pattern to coming into Morristown Airport, as there's a pattern coming into any airport. So if I wanted you to understand how aircraft works and why some of these aircraft are flying over our residential areas, etc., a pilot approaching an airport announces his intentions before he gets into the airport area. Usually he's using the Booton Reservoir as a point of departure from there. From the Booton Reservoir in, he announces his intention and he gets clearance into the airport. He doesn't just come to the runway and land the airplane. It doesn't happen that way. He has to enter into what's called a downwind. So if you look at the pattern that you see there, those are the airports that are crossing each other. Each side of those long lines, right, has a downwind pattern and an upwind pattern. So if you hold your hand up and you say, that's the runway, and I draw a box around that, that's the pattern left. If I draw a box to the other side, that's the pattern right. So you're going to hear the tower say to you that you're cleared to enter the downwind pattern, the left downwind for the runway. They announce the runway. They fly the downwind to a safe altitude. Usually it's 1,200 feet. And normally a house in our area sits at 100, the airport sits at 197. Usually the house around our area probably sits around 300 feet. So you could figure the clearance between you and that airplane is about 1,000 feet. All right, then you fly the downwind, then you fly what's known as a base, which is a left turn into the runway, and then you fly a final, if he lets you have a final, and then you land your airplane, okay? That's how a pattern works. Now, you may give you the left side of the box, he may give you the right side of the box, depending on how much traffic. Airport is controlled by a tower that's there. What are we closing down now? At what time at night?
Air traffic control is from 6:45 in the morning until 10:30 at night.
10:30 at night, so everybody says, well, what happens? Everybody goes home and the airport closes? Airports don't close. All right, what happens when a pilot lands after 10:30 at Morristown Airport is he announces his intentions in the blind for the safety of all the folks around him in the neighborhoods and the safety of the airport. Announcing your intention in the blind says, hey, this is Ron Francioli, this is my aircraft, 17142. I'm approaching 5 miles out, I'm coming in for a downwind on left downwind and final on 23, okay? And then he may not get his clearance, but what he's doing is, by opening his radio and making this announcement in the blind, is he's telling every airplane in the area who he is, where he is, and what he's going to do. That's called intentions in the blind. So it's a safe way for the aircraft to come in, and that's what they're using right now. The diagram I'm showing you here, now I think I have one. If we go further, is there residential? Okay. Here's one that we should all be aware of. Okay, this is residential patterns over our homes. Okay, we do try to control this with noise abatement procedures. And Hanover Township and Morristown Airport over the years have worked cooperatively together to work with the FAA and with the Department of Airports, right, is the other. If you're on the ground, I'm who? I'm Department of Airports. If I'm in the air, I'm FAA.
There's a
My
ground.
wheels are an
yeah.
inch off the ground, I'm FAA.
Correct.
Okay.
As soon as you leave the pavement, yeah.
That being said, we have successfully, as Hanover, gotten many changes in the traffic pattern over the years with helicopters, et cetera, in order to afford our neighbors more of a quiet and less disturbed situation, living with an airport in our meets and bounds. And we've been very successful about that. But there's been some other changes that affect us here in Hanover and here at the airport. And that is over the years, and we go back to when Hanover used to have toe-to-toe fights at the airport, they had jets known as Stage 3 jets. Stage 3 jets flying over your house will take the roof off your house in their noise. Over the years, that transitioned over to Stage 2 jets, which are quite a bit different. Now, Stage 3 jets, I think you're only allowed 10% of them in.
I don't believe anything outside of Stage 3 is allowed.
You close down altogether?
Yeah.
All right. And now we're working with Stage 1. Stage 1 I'm going to describe as a whisper jet. All right, it's the most quiet jet you have down there. Occasionally we've had issues down at the airport and people think it's part of the Algonquin pipeline blowing up. What airports do, what aircraft do before taking off is known as a run-up. Why would you do a run-up? Well, you want to make sure that the prop is turning the right way, and you better have all your gauges working, and you better hope your magnetic direction is right. So they do a run-up at a certain area of a blast pad at the airport. Now, for those that are non-turbine, which are regular reciprocal engines, it's a quiet thing. For jets, they do have to do a run-up. They run up against the blast pads, which are there. It's been doing a successful job of keeping the noise down before they then get clearance to depart the runways, and that's it. And finally, on runways, let me give you an idea how this works. If I'm approaching a runway and somebody clears me for runway 23, what did they just do? I look at my compass, my heading, and my heading when I finally land at that airport is going to be 230 on the compass heading. Compass is right up in front of me. Every airport has a number to the runway. The number could be 13, add a 0. Number could be 6, add a 0. Number could be 23, add a 0. To the pilot, that means one thing. That's my compass heading to land this aircraft, and that's what I'm cleared for. So when we do that, if you see the red lines that I'm showing you here, and then you see the black lines, which are the runway, you get an understanding of how the traffic pattern is flying over our residential areas. You see Longview, you see areas of Whippany Road, and that's the downwind to certain runways as you see them coming into 13 there. Every one of those entries to any one of those runways, you'll see a red pattern which says that's the way the aircraft must come in before it lands. I think we're working with Morristown, trying to do our best to control noise in the area. I think one of the main things is that we do get immediate notification from Morristown that we put on our own website every time there's a change at the airport that will affect the residential areas. Whether it's a runway repair, whether it's an incident on the airport, anything at all that's going to have airport management change the direction of that pattern that affects neighbors, you're going to hear about it. We're going to hear about it. It's going to be on our website, so you'll learn more about it. But in the meantime, I say, Mr. Mayor, the collaboration between Morristown Airport and Hanover Township has never been better. They're doing a fantastic job down there. I invite every single one of us. Matter of fact, I think we're trying to get together for a little tour down there, where our fellow council people here can see the airport, see what's going on, and get a better understanding of it there. So it's great. Well, thanks, Corey, for all you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Sean.
Ron, that was fantastic, thank you. Does anyone have any questions from the dais? Does anyone from the public have any questions for Ron or Corey?
Well, you all get your plastic wings.